What do people hate more than missiles and drones?
Oh my God. Tell me.
Lawyers and brokers. Welcome to Investopedia episode 6. Just for my audience, I just want you to introduce yourself, what you do, and how long you've been here, and all that.
Okay, so I've been here pretty much all my life. So um, I know the in and outs of Dubai just as someone that lives here and, has been here for a very long time. But at the same time, you more or less pick up on the legal aspect of life, where that's where I decided to get into the law. And I've been a legal professional for as long as I can remember, even before I went to law school. So that was just the path that I
So you like fighting and arguing?
grew up in. Yeah, of course, of course. I started the first debate club in my school. So that's kind of like, I guess that was the beginning of the path. And then started the first radio show in the school as well. So I always had the passion for it. Then I joined MUN and stuff. So
Yeah.
went to London for events for the Model United Nations. So I've been in debates. I've been in this kind of path.
Does your wife appreciate your debating skills?
My wife does appreciate it because she's a lawyer as well. So
Really?
yeah.
Oh, your fights must be very interesting.
Yes.
But anyway, before we move on to the actual questions that my clients would be interested in, I thought I'll do a few jokes.
Okay.
Some of them might be offensive, so sorry about that.
Contract of approval, don't worry. Stamp of approval is there.
What's the difference between vampires and lawyers?
Tell me.
Vampires only suck your blood at night. What's the difference between a good lawyer and a bad one?
What is it?
A bad lawyer can drag your case for months. A good lawyer can drag your case for a lifetime.
Good for himself, yeah.
How many lawyer jokes do you think I have?
Unlimited.
Just 2 or 3. The rest are true stories.
That's a good one. That's actually good, yeah.
99% of lawyers give the rest of them a bad name. Okay, last one is like a story, okay? A guy gets into a car crash with a lawyer.
Okay.
And he gets out to discuss the insurance and stuff. So the lawyer gets out and says, "You crashed into my Mercedes, I'm going to sue you. You ruined my Armani suit, I'm going to sue you." And the guy says, "Oh my God, all of you lawyers are the same. You only care about money. You don't even notice your arm is missing." So the lawyer looks at his arm with all the blood pumping out and says, "Oh my God, I can't find my Rolex, I'm going to sue you."
Wow. Okay, those are actually good. Some of these I've never heard before. So
Yeah. All right. What I've done with the episode is I've divided into 3 sections. So in case you're interested in something more than the other, the timestamps will be here. The first one is about the escrow accounts and the SPAs. The second one is the ownership experience. And then the third one is the landlord experience. All right. So starting with the escrow. What is an escrow? How is money protected for investors in Dubai?
Okay, I think this is a question that a lot of people obviously have, especially investors when they first think about investing in the UAE. At the time, before the subprime crisis in 2008, this didn't necessarily exist, this mechanism, or it wasn't as widely available for everyone to use. Most developers got away with a lot of shady things. A lot of developers also, built on their brand name, which is why a lot of, these bigger developers that you can see here, like Omniat, Damak, Amar, these are brands that have been in the market for a very long time. Regardless of what they could or couldn't do at that time, they still built their brand. However, government, regardless of what happened, came in and said, we're going to put in some regulations where developers are not allowed to just have the money in their own bank account, have the money with themselves to do whatever they want, start, going out on the weekends and partying for the shareholders. Yeah. So
actually, what most developers did because the same thing happened in India as well. Most developers would just take that cash and buy other plots to expand.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like a pyramid scheme, right? Yeah. They would take money, tell them that, we're getting amazing returns, whereas it's the other land that's growing. They would value it, and then they do evaluations by themselves. And there's a lot of shady things that you can do with that, especially if you have a lawyer that's shady as well, or a team of lawyers. But other than that, escrow accounts now, how they're formed or how they're actually, they work, is that the government only gives them a percentage of the amount given that they prove to the land department that they have actually made progress. That's why, for example, and you know this obviously, you go on the DLD website and you check the
Yeah.
property status. You not only have the status percentage, you have the pictures and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
every 3 months, every 6 months, the government actually goes and looks out for these things.
I was actually naive enough to think that they do that so that clients get updated
Yeah.
on what's happening. But I think it's so that they can claim more funds.
I mean, it's both ends. It's
Yeah.
both ends. And that's why you pay the 4% or the 2% or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Yeah.
Okay. So so this is how buyers are protected. Their investment is protected in the escrow. What happens if there's a delay, and what does a buyer do?
All right. So as per law, just blanket statement, most 99% of the case you can say, developers have 1 year of buffer period after the handover date. So let's say they're supposed to hand over in 2026 August, and they don't, then they have until next August next year to hand over.
Yeah.
After that point, you're going to have to,
Yeah.
you know,
It's penalty free.
it's penalty free. After that, it becomes a court case where the buyer has a
Yeah.
complete right to
It's
claim
not like
the money.
automatic, like you'll
No,
get
no.
the amount.
You can
have
even
to
make a case. I can go
Yeah.
and make a case and whatever, reject it.
Okay.
Reject it.
Wait, is there a guideline of how much is due, like a rental amount or what the penalty will be, which is due towards the buyer?
Right. It would be calculated as per normal market rate, normal compensation, normal index. And that's the
The rent amount, that's it, right?
whatever.
You
So
can't, like in the US, you can claim damages, etc. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You can't do that here.
you can make the claim. Look, in your claim in courts, for example, you can claim whatever you want.
Okay.
You can claim.
As long as you can back it up.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can even claim and you can even pay for the court fees. So, for example, we have a problem. It's worth 1,000 dirhams. I make a case and I claim 1 million.
Yeah.
I pay the fees for the 1 million. But then when I'm compensated, I'm only compensated 1,000. And even for the court fees that you have to compensate me back, you're compensating the 1,000 only. So,
Okay.
yeah, you have to be very smart about filing. And that's where, having a good legal professional comes in handy.
Okay. But there is protection provided. People do come to you for delays.
Absolutely.
They do win.
They do. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't seen much of these cases.
Okay.
I haven't seen much of these cases.
Yeah, because buyers would just prefer to like wait out a few more months and yeah.
That's not actually that. The problem is it's actually with leverage. Leverage is very important in these cases. Why? For example, if I wait a year, I bought the property 4 or 5 years ago. It takes 4 or 5 years to complete. Some very fast developers build it in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Regardless, 3 years is a lot of time, especially for inflation, especially for capital
Yeah.
appreciation, etc., etc. If I buy it at 2 million approximately, and capital is appreciated, and in the next 5 years that 2 million or property is worth now 2.5 or 2.7 or 3 million, whatever number you want to think of, if I were to make the case, I would get back most of the time, I would get back my OP. So the 2
Yeah.
million, I'm losing that 700, 800K profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm spending court fees, and even that I get back later on if I win. But still, you're going to lose all of that profit. Where it's kind of like this tug of war, like push and pull between developer and buyer, where the developer wants to complete so that they
Mhm.
can move on to the next things and collect, manage the property itself. No one actually cares. No one wants to not complete their project. However, where the developer kind of like is kind of happy if the project, or you make a case, is if you completed it all the way until the end, they lose the case and they're happy to pay you that money back because they pay you OP and now they go and sell it at new market rate.
Yeah.
But what happened is that they basically took out a loan from you for 3 years
Yeah.
for 6% court fees,
Yeah.
not taking into consideration interest, not taking into consideration any compensation or
Yeah.
inflation. So they basically just took out a loan from you for free, which is why it's very important going with developers with a,
Yeah.
something that they can back up.
Because even though technically your money's protected, why would you want to get into the hassle of
Yeah.
even going through all of this? Okay. On the flip side, so we discussed if the developer is at fault. What if the buyer is at fault and can't pay installments? I think there's a rule about how much the developer can sort of claim and.
I knew you were going to ask this question, and it's a complicated, algorithmic kind of thing, so I just put it on my phone.
Yeah.
I'll open it up, and I think it's going to be... Because now it depends on who the fault falls under. So if it's the buyer's fault that they don't complete the payment, by the way, the law is law number 19 of 2017. This is important for whoever wants to reference. So if the project has not yet started, developer can keep up to 30% of what has already been paid.
Okay.
All right? They must refund the rest. There's a caveat to all of this. I'll share it at the end. Project has started but is less than 60% complete. Developer can keep up to 25% of the total value, not just what you paid. 60% to 80% completed, developer can keep up to 40% of the property value. More than 80%, developer can keep all of the money paid or force completion or terminate and keep 40% of the property. Now, the caveat to all of this, there's a little bit more details to it, but I don't want to get too deep into it. We can always get, because, you know, another problem with this is that everyone's thing depends on case-by-case basis. Has it been reported? Has the status been made? Did they hand over the completion certificate to the buyer? I have cases where the person has bought the property, waited 3 years, the property is completed, they haven't handed over the keys yet, and they have the possibility to give the property completion certificate. So now the buyer is stuck in this limbo where they can't have the keys, but they also can't make it's a mess. And if they make the case and they show that they didn't hand over the property to them yet, they will win the case. So it's all caveat. There's a caveat to it, right? To all of this.
So this is a general sort of rule.
It's a general rule, but then always, you don't even have to take my word for it. It always comes down to the decision of the judge.
Okay.
It always goes down in the courtrooms.
So, like, for example, just as an example, because I've had this, not a case, but situation 2 months ago, where the buyer who had proceeded with the property just found out they've got cancer. In special situations, the judge would, be accommodate, or, the legal system would accommodate a situation where they get their money back. Maybe. Depends.
Depends, but it's not a guarantee, because you can lose your job, you can fall sick. It's not the developer's fault. I mean, really, you want to get down deep into the dirty. It's also not the developer's fault. Like, he's not supposed to take on the responsibility because the buyer fell sick, I know it's cancer, it's serious, etc. But this is life, you have to make that robotic decision, algorithmic decision between 1 and 0. Like, is it this or is it that? Another thing is that's there, Nick, you have to know, and I wanted to share this. When it comes down to the percentages that you get to keep, the developer keeps, and this perfect balance is more or less met, especially back in the 2-3 years ago, when we didn't have these crazy pay 5% then the rest on handover kind of deals. Is that the grade or the slow growth of payments that you make, 5%, then another 5 or 1% monthly or whatever it is, more or less falls into balance with the law. So whatever you paid at that time is matching with the completion rate and is matching with how much you paid. And now, even if you don't pay, it's not like you're going to get anything back, The developers always, most of the time, keep themselves on the safe side.
Also, speaking of that, because you said leverage, how does a buyer really protect themselves against a developer? Because all of this, by the way, even what the legal guidelines are from the DLD or from the government, they might, be overridden by the contract. So the SPA might have something else completely. Instead of a 1-year clause, they might have a 2-year clause saying that we can delay it for 2 years.
Exactly. So if the developer agrees to it and the buyer agrees to it, however, there are some rules, okay? I don't want to go deep into the details, but there are, for example, general rules that are as per DLD laws, and anything that goes around these rules is not respected at all. Is
in the court?
Is nullified, It's null. Doesn't hold up in court.
So even if you sign something, because the problem is all these buyers, they come and then first of all, most developers don't talk about the SP until you've paid 20% plus the.
That's very shady, by the way. And I don't think that's going to stay around for long, because
it shouldn't. I
don't think it's going to stay around for long. One's that, and one is the give the check copy or the actually give out the check to the agent. That's also something that once you made the payment, a lot of new information comes out for first-time buyers, especially. That they don't know about.
Actually, I'll compare this to the UK, okay, which is a 6-month buying process, and then Dubai it's like I'm seeing 2 different extremes. One is where it's way too complicated, unnecessary.
6 hours.
So the other one is where you don't have any say with the paperwork and the documentation, and it's just done. It's a standard thing. If you want it, you sign it. If you don't want it,
Here or UK?
Here, if you want it, you have to sign it. If you don't want it, that's fine. Because the market is, pre-war, I'm talking about. So the market was so fast that that was the case. So what is the way can a buyer ask for changes in the SPA?
You can get a lawyer by your side. It makes a difference. People don't realize this, but paying a lawyer, even an hourly fee, which is more expensive than a retainer, even if you pay hourly, it's going to be way cheaper than potentially making a mistake. You pay insurance when you travel. You get insurance when you live in a country you're residing there. You have free healthcare if you live in the UK or wherever. So you're paying taxes regardless 50% on your day-to-day life. You might as well pay a little 5%, 2% premium to completely insure yourself that everything's going to
Why do you think they don't do it?
I have so many. Most clients think that they know what they're doing because they've seen a video or they've heard something, but they don't know what the reality is. Even in the UK, the reality of what's written in the law and the reality of what goes down like on a day-to-day basis are two completely different. It's day and night. So it's the same thing over here. It's the same thing everywhere.
Do you think it's leverage again with the SPA?
Absolutely. If you have leverage on your side, why wouldn't you want to get all of the possible leverage that you could get? I have very smart buyers that even this is their fifth, sixth purchase, they always get me by their side. And because it's their fifth, sixth purchase, I give them a very good rate.
No, but in off-plan, if you ask for the SPA, the launch is in 2 weeks. You've asked for the SPA. You can go back and forth with the developer. If the developer is taking time or the developer says, no, we're not going to change anything, then what?
So that's leverage for the developer, right?
Yeah.
So that's leverage for the developer. I think good buyers, smart buyers, they're patient people. I know there are some opportunities you're supposed to jump on and ride the wave, but the same way those waves go up, the same way those waves could potentially come crashing down because they're not backed by anything fundamentally strong. That's not the case for all projects, but it's very rare to get inside of those projects or get the EOI passed in those projects. But if you are a smart buyer or a steady buyer, like a leopard that waits or a cheetah that waits and then gives it its all to run towards the goal, once you found that target is the time you should be running. So I think being patient, finding those deals in the market that they didn't, they're waiting to sell it to someone, and now you have leverage that you can negotiate amazing terms or even prices.
Yeah, but the problem is usually really good properties don't stay on the market. So if launch is upcoming or if there's a property with a developer that I want to sell and the buyer wants, if we start asking about the SPA, changes in the SPA, by the time we do that, it's going to go anyway.
Why? Why? You'll answer your own question. Why? Because they're very good projects. People are lined up for them. So if it's a very good project...
Because ideally, because I've seen the SPAs and I know most of them have a lot of red flags in them.
Yeah, none of them are in the favor of the buyer. None of them,
And similarly, when these buyers become sellers later on, the contracts we make are trying to protect them first. So the problem is, if it was up to me, I would have every single SPA checked by you for my buyers and changed. But then, I wouldn't sell a thing and they wouldn't buy a thing, because of the speed. Even right now, even with, the situation right now, it's just not good. How does the SPA really work? Who decides these terms? Is it given by the government?
DLD has the general guidelines, the general rules and laws that they should follow, and then it's made by the developer. Then it's handed over to the buyer for them to sign as is. But then you have contracts that you can potentially negotiate, especially ones that are like super red flag, like it doesn't make any sense. Another thing that you have to keep in mind, projects that go fast because of the SPAs, like you don't have time to modify them. Why is it? It's because it's a good project. Why is it a good project? It's because the developer is a solid developer. They will build. And
price, size, location, amenities, whatever.
So you're willing to take that risk, number one, and two, if they have a track record of 50 years or 30 years, it's probably going to work out fine. You just need to worry about your finances, make sure you're going to make the payments on time, and then you're probably going to be fine. If the probability is in your favor, it's probably going to be fine.
So if someone wants to reach out to you and try to probably not change the SPA, but understand what they're signing.
That's
something you can
of
help
course, absolutely. I do it all the time.
Just so they know what kind of traps they're walking into. Because all of them, it doesn't matter how big the developer is. I've seen the SPAs, it's not just,
That's something I do with a lot of agents, and this is for you as well. I do it with a lot of agents. They already have the sale. They're going to make it. But then the buyer has just, they want a third party. It always helps. You know what I tell my clients? You should have a third party that's not going to gain or lose whether you buy or don't buy this property.
Yeah.
I have no gain or loss or what. I don't care. You pay my fees for my time. I come and sit and I tell you the truth about what's gonna happen if you don't do this or that or whatever the SPA says.
Yeah.
And that's
Have you had any refund cases for EOIs? You know, the new concept of EOI.
Yes,
Not
yes.
new, well, but um, how does the law work there? Because that's a bit not shady or sketchy, but it's just a very different concept because it's a corporate account.
Yeah.
As usually before the project is launched, the project doesn't have an escrow yet, and all the developers, except for maybe one or two, rest of them, none of them will have an escrow ready in time. And anyway, EOI is not refundable if it goes into the escrow, and it's so complicated. So just so buyers understand,
What I understand is that these EOIs, they're gonna change it in a way where they're going to give out the escrow accounts a bit faster, granted that they meet the regulations
Yeah.
that they need for the escrow account. That's gonna change. That's one thing that, Dubai is always evolving. They're making things better and faster for clients. Next would be that EOIs, when they're saying it's refundable, they have to refund it. If they don't, easy case, open shut case, very easy.
Okay.
Very easy. And I have a lot of cases that they haven't refunded. They haven't refunded someone, and it's a big developer, which is surprising. But I think it's because of the team members.
It is actually.
Not because of the company itself, not the developer itself. If you go around and you have the different team members and you see like in other groups of that team, they're like completely refunding on time and they're communicating. And when you keep that relationship going, the buyer just comes like, look, I gave my money. You won't believe the mental gymnastics that happen inside the buyer brain when they go like, this is my money, take it. And you're like, oh, you want to cancel it? Okay, here's your money back. And he's like, did I just get my money back?
Yeah.
Now I completely trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you, eyes closed. Whatever you tell me, you're right. Because I know if I give my money to you, it's in a safe place. I've had so many cases like that with clients where they pay, something happens, here's your money back, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's it. They send me their friends, their other clients, whatever. Same thing with developers or the team members. They should build that trust. Anyways, if it's refundable, it's refundable. They can make it.
Actually, I think I can answer that question instead of the legal aspect. I think there's more to do with, and then I'll ask another question. Luckily, I've never had a situation where a developer didn't refund. It's always like a month or two late or like something like this, but I've always gotten the refund done. But then I had a buyer who bought through someone, put down the EOI through someone else. And then she told me that no one's responding to her. And then I took the details and somehow I knew that person through someone else. So I asked him like, bro, what are you doing? You should refund it. And he said, it's not a sale. So he doesn't have the time because he's focusing on the next one.
Because he's not going to make anything on that refund.
Yeah. And it's a waste of time, so to speak.
It's not a waste of time.
For him, that's how he thinks. But what's the consequence for people like this? Because they are representing a
case. And then the company. So on the employee's end, the company deals with the employee. They should know whatever they're. So the best thing that the client can do or the buyer can do is make a claim towards the company. And the company heads or their manager is going to deal with that employee.
Yeah.
That's kind of like getting down and dirty. But if you want to actually care, the only thing you care about is your money and your time. Yeah. Get someone, legal professional, can get your money back. If it's refundable, it's going to be refundable. That's fine. But internally, my message to that guy is you're not earning money, but you're earning a brand. You're building your own personal brand with that by being respectable or respected as a seller in the market.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the ownership experience. So this is something very interesting for people who are outside. So I'll just give you like a lot of questions suddenly. So passing away, death. So I want to speak about that in respect to property in foreign versus local and Muslim versus non-Muslim.
Right.
Is there a difference in these?
There is a difference, but more or less it falls under the, once a person has passed, who does it go to? Now, the way that the law kind of like dissects this is dependent on, your religion. And whether you're Muslim or not decides who it goes to. Now, when you're Muslim...
So residency doesn't have anything to do with it? Residency here.
Residency it does as well. It does.
So let's do the religion first. Yeah.
Okay. So religion. I'll go quick over it because I don't want to go because what happens is for the people who are watching, if they're a resident and Muslim, someone that's non-resident and non-Muslim is just gonna like zone out. So I'm just gonna go briefly over it. Resident Muslim, you're going to go as per Sharia law. Okay. Unless you have a specific contract, but more or less you're going to have to follow.
By contract, you mean will?
Will.
Okay.
So more or less, like attested will, right?
Yeah.
More or less you're going to have to go by Sharia law. There is some certain. If you're resident and non-Muslim, you need to make a will, absolutely, because otherwise it's going to be very complicated, stuck in courts, and it's going to take a long time.
Okay.
Long time.
What happens to the assets during this long time?
It gets put on hold, frozen, nothing happens to it.
What if it's rented? Where does the rent go?
The rent it gets collected by the government,
Okay.
and then it gets
Okay, so it's safe. Like it's
safe.
not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
But it's a hassle for the kids.
It's a hassle, right?
For the next.
Unless you have a will, like in a couple of weeks, couple of months max, you're gonna.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
But then, when you have without a will, you can take a long time, years even.
And foreign nationals.
Foreign nationals especially. So then, non-resident, you kind of have this like thing where it's like between your own country's laws.
Yeah.
And now.
What if they have a will in, let's say, the UK or India?
But then, is it attested? That's why you need.
If it's attested in Arabic,
exactly,
then it might pass.
Not necessarily. It's not about being attested. It's not about the translation. It's actually about being attested by Mofo over here.
Okay.
So it has a lot of steps to it. But best thing I can advise you: get your will sorted. Muslim,
UAE-based will.
UAE-based will, because you own properties here. You don't own it back home. You don't own it anywhere else. You own it here. So if you have it here, the regulations should also be covering it over here, so that you have a fast solution.
And is that an easy process online? Or
if you have a good, legal professional by your side, it's an easy process.
You can do it, yeah. And it's all online, or do they have to fly down?
No, they don't need to fly down. With a POA, we can get everything sorted.
Okay. And is there a difference if you get it done from DIFC, Abu Dhabi, Dubai?
Yes, pricing.
Okay.
Pricing, and also more or less like the coverage kind of things. But, if you have, it depends on what you need. This is the thing. I don't like giving direct advice, because it again comes down to everyone's situation is different. And if I say something and someone thinks something, it applies to them, and then they think I'm giving out wrong information when they later on check it, and it's it doesn't match. That's why I don't like giving direct advice. I give general information so that people can get in touch when they need something.
Okay. So a will is absolutely needed.
Absolutely. You shouldn't hesitate getting a will. Never.
And it's not a huge cost as well, right?
It's not a huge cost. Look, you're buying a property for minimum, how much?
$1 million, 2 million dirhams. Most people outside are buying for 2 million for the golden visa anyway, so that's
1% for the lawyer, 1% for the will, less than that. That's it, you're sorted.
Yeah, okay.
What is a 2% insurance on making sure that asset stays within your family or whoever you want to give it to forever? Right?
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. And just a little bit about the joint names thing. Is there a difference if let's say there's a husband and wife who are joint owners, and then one of them passes away and there's a will? How does the joint thing work? If there's no will, if there is a will?
So you have one thing called mirror wills. So this is when the wife and the husband want to make a similar. It's for couples basically. That's also possible if they own the property 50% or whatever the percentages are. Then in that sense, because there are owners of both of them, you need to involve both of them in the procedure. That's there as well. And then the person who's going to inherit also has to be agreed upon by them. It's a procedure. That's why again you have to look at what's the by the way, you also have people that are couples, because this happens
and
with
they're
foreign.
not married.
They're not married. Legally,
I was going to come to that.
Yeah. I also have that issue with, for example, immigration and visa, where I suggest my clients to one of them is the husband to sponsor the wife so that she gets the visa as a family member, but then they're I don't have a marriage certificate, so I'm okay, now we're forced to do something about the wife as a separate person, entity completely, either under your company as a partner, for example, or to put them as their own entity or their own company if they're making money online and stuff.
But in the will, someone can leave their property in favor of, let's say, a friend as well. So their partner who they're not married to.
Yeah.
You can leave your property to anyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't have to be next of kin.
No.
Okay. And the third one is the landlord experience. So what is the legality of, I guess, the biggest thing the landlords care about is rent. So increasing the rent or reducing, how is the law governed over there?
The only thing that they look at is the RERA index. So if the index says that you can increase the rent,
is the index a suggestion or is it law?
No, it's law.
Okay.
It's law. So it gives you a suggestion of range, but you have to fall within that range. That's the law.
Okay.
So they say, for example, you can increase the rent this year it's 60,000, 65,000. You can increase it between 80 to 90,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, the landlord is going to go for the maximum.
Yeah.
But then you have other landlords that you can discuss with. For example, you have, during times where rents cannot be very high, then the tenant can also negotiate. They have leverage. It all comes down to leverage.
Yeah.
In anything legal, it's always leverage. Always.
Yeah.
Can I negotiate my rent to be lower? Well, I know that if I leave right now, he's probably going to rent it out for 80, not 90. So I'm going to go with 80 as a counter offer.
Yeah.
And most of the times they accept. Man, look at my profile. I get into disputes with my own landlord on legal stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm like the last person you want to be doing this with. And I go all the way till the end. And then at the end, they're like, you know what, fine. And, so it happens. Even though I own properties, I rent. That's a different discussion later.
Okay. So just if the RERA index says this is the range, you're supposed to increase it or decrease it or make no changes, and the landlord still asks for a higher amount than whatever it is that, first of all, the first question is that criminal? And the second thing is, if they agree to it,
It's not criminal. It's a case.
Okay.
It's a problem.
Everything you have to go file a case.
Yeah, you have to file.
Okay.
It's a legal case, and it's possible you're going to win. Most
Okay.
likely. I mean, I'm asking in this I'm answering in this general, hypothetical scenario. Yeah, in this scenario, you would obviously win.
Okay, but
the judge would judge according to RERA.
But if somehow both of them, for some stupid reason, agree to rent at 20% higher than what the RERA index asks them to, that's completely fine. It's legal.
Yeah.
If two parties are willing, okay, that's fine. It's not criminal too.
Yeah, but that's why lack of knowledge or lack of information becomes costly.
Yeah.
Imagine how much you would have paid a lawyer for him to tell you that.
Yeah. What if the tenant is not paying the landlord and is not leaving?
Case.
How have you done these, and how long does it take? Is it like the UK where they say
so you have the first part, which is the notice. Then the notice, you kind of have to give them some time. All right. So the average time is 1 month. After that, you can make a case, start giving out evacuation notices and stuff like that, and then after that, you let the courts handle it.
Okay.
And then even after they leave and they don't pay, there's a case on their name, on the tenant's name, and the tenant has to pay.
And there's a travel ban as well.
Yeah, you can issue it afterwards. Once you get the judgments, you can.
With the check bouncing thing, that's not criminal anymore, right?
No, it's not.
So nobody gets jailed anymore.
It's a blanket statement, but generally speaking, no, it's not.
Okay. Until a few years ago, if a tenant didn't pay his rent or her rent,
it would be an issue. Yeah, it's a
bigger issue.
Bigger issue, much bigger issue.
But now I think the law is becoming more fair towards both parties, and still we favor the landlord. Do you think? To a certain extent, or are we fair?
Not necessarily, because I'm telling you, as a tenant myself, I told you I have properties, but I rent.
Yeah.
And I've seen both ends. On one end, if it comes down to what's just or what's right or what's fair. If on one end the landlord is really right, genuinely right, the government protects them, the courts protect them. But if on the other end the tenant is actually right, what I don't like is when the law really favors one party. Like for example, in Europe, I lived there for 6 years. I worked there and everything, so I know the laws. For example, if the tenant doesn't pay, or you have squatters' rights, it's just like, what are you even talking about? It's like it's my thing. Like if I lend you my phone and you use it for more than an hour, is it now yours? Like what? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, India's got some weird laws as well. Then.
Yeah.
But so you would say the law and the buy is more or less fair for both.
I would say it's very balanced, honestly. And I'm telling you this honestly. If it was on one end or the other, I would tell you. Like before, it was more unbalanced. Even with for example, employees, there were things that were not like. They didn't push it to one end, but it was just that it wasn't covered. It's a newer country as well, you have to understand. It's a newer country. It's hard to get regulations out, to vote for them. Well, not vote for them, but to issue them, to first get a feel of what the community is feeling as well, and then to go issue laws on that.
Yeah.
So that also make sure that it doesn't affect people in the negative way. It takes time for these things to be written and to be issued. So published and everything. That's why when you publish laws on real estate, now it's become super fair, even with employees and employment. Pay my salary on time, You don't pay it, I can stop working immediately. You cancel my visa, then I don't have to respond to you anymore. It's not my responsibility anymore to work for you or to do anything with you. I have proof that I showed up to work. You pay up my salary on time. It's a very fair thing. It's just a question of knowing your rights. And
most people don't here. I think that's
they
the problem
don't.
here. Yeah.
People here or from outside, they don't, and then they don't take action on it. And when it's too late to take action, that's when they wake up and they're like, no, it's not fair, etc., etc.
Okay. If I want to sell my property, and most buyers prefer empty houses, can I have the tenant vacate the property because I want to sell it?
You can, but there's obviously regulations to that and rules that you have to follow. So, for example, average timeline 1 year. You know this.
Yeah.
For the ones that are watching, it's 1 year, and there are certain things that you have to mention. Like, for example, I'm actually going to be renovating it in a way that it's impossible for you to live over there. I'm going to be moving in myself.
Yeah.
There are all these rules.
Yeah.
There are conditions that you have to look at the conditions of what it is. But then, a lot of people, I've had multiple cases where people, the landlord says, I'm going to be whatever, using it or whatever, then they rent it out to someone else. It's so easy to find that you've rented it to someone else.
It's all transparent.
It's all transparent. They make a case against you, and they're obviously going to win.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So the laws are there to help, but if you abuse them, they're okay. What about the new rental index law about the 5-star rating and quality thing that they'll be checking every building and rating it a 5 out of 5 stars?
I think they've announced it, but I don't think they've fully implemented it. I'm not too sure about that one, but as per my understanding, they haven't fully implemented that.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
As far as I don't think it's implemented, but I think moving forward, buyers should be aware that quality is going to be one of the deciding factors of being able to increase rent. And how they implement it, I thought you would know.
No, I'm not sure about it.
What about the new shared housing thing, the partition thing?
Right. So that one has been announced.
And does that help investors?
It helps investors, of course. Imagine you rent out your apartment to one person only, and then you find out that there's like 30 people living in that apartment.
Oh, God.
Right? How would you feel?
30 is an exaggeration.
Yeah, of course it's an exaggeration. I mean, look at the size. If it's
if
it's a 10-bedroom villa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can have 3 people in a room. That's fine.
Yeah.
But then again, it comes down to regulations. So you're going to have to, these are the things. You're going to have to first get an approval from the land department that you want to do such a thing. You're going to have to either also get a agreement from the landlord if it's a tenant that wants to sublease. Then the DLD also has to approve that. Then there's a ratio, or just like the RERA index, it's going to be like, all right, how many people are there that are going to rent? Shouldn't surpass these numbers. What's the size? How much weight can the actual structural...
Yeah.
Because that was actually an issue. Way before this law was issued, I remember making a video on this. It was like a legal issue where they started going into these buildings where everyone's sharing in that building. And it was actually because it was starting to damage the interior of the building, the structural integrity of the building, and causing health problems.
Yeah.
So sickness and disease, weight and also health problems.
Because you're so close to each other.
You're so close to each other, diseases and sickness or even just the flu can spread so easily. So it was becoming a real problem.
Yeah.
That's
also
why.
Fire. Because it's not done well, the partitions and all of that.
Partitions are not meant for all the gas stoves to be on constantly all day at the same time. So it can cause fires, it can cause heating issues with the AC and all that.
So that forces people to do the shared housing concept in Dubai properly, which automatically makes it so that more units are taken up. Less people are going into one unit.
Yeah.
And the government is monitoring it better, I guess.
Or for example, connecting the plug-in ACs, but 30 of them in the same house.
Yeah.
Causes a shortage and then electricity, fire, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Okay. What about service charges? How are they governed in Dubai? Because for context for this, I've got buyers in the UK who say things like overnight their service charges went up by 400%, 300%. So can that kind of thing happen here? Can a management company just decide one day, your service charges are going to go from 15 dirhams to 45?
No, these are regulated. These are regulated as well.
I know the answers.
By DLD.
Because they wanna hear you.
They're regulated by DLD. They can't just increase it by themselves. It's regulated as per the area,
Yeah.
quality of the building, also whether it's related to like not necessarily linked to Empower or DEWA itself, but that does affect your final bill by the way
Okay.
if you're a tenant.
Okay.
But more or less it's about the actual quality of the building itself.
Okay. And MOLAC is the government agency that manages that.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Land Department and MOLAC.
I heard
Yeah.
more like okay, yeah, Molak, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see any disputes between building management companies and landlords, owners?
Ooh, yes, but not really. The issue is people don't know the law. They don't know the rights. This is so important. Actually, I'm so glad you brought this up. I have a personal story. So I own an apartment. I'm not gonna name the developer, but they have another company that's a management company, and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna name their name either. But
Does it rhyme with Rome?
no,
Okay.
no. Even if it did, I wasn't gonna talk. Because if I was their lawyer, I would know how to get you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyways, doesn't matter. I'm not going to name them, but I like to put, it's Dubai. You want to have some, nice greenery on your balcony and stuff. It's a huge balcony. Maybe this will give it away. But it's a huge balcony. And I wanted to put fake grass on the balcony, on the floor. And I did that. And suddenly I started getting like notifications and like posters all over the building. Oh, we're going to come in for inspection to your apartment, not my only, everyone's apartment. You cannot have boxes or cupboards on the balcony.
Yeah.
It's a huge
That's
space.
a general rule for everyone, I think.
For everyone. And then you cannot have any kind of fire hazard, grass or this or that or that. No, nothing that can set on fire. I'm like, dude, literally everything on my balcony can be set on fire if you try hard enough. The grass can be set on fire. I have those swinging chairs that looks like a half egg like kind of thing. Yeah. That on like it's made of plastic and wood. It can be set on fire. The cupboard can be set on fire. Everything can be set on fire if you try hard enough. So like, what's the point of having a balcony bigger than the actual room?
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Almost.
I know what developer it is.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
Yeah.
So bigger than the actual room, and then so I called DLD. I was like, look, they're messing with me. I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get into the legal battle. What's going on, man? Like, I'm sick and tired of it. They're like, who even told you that they're allowed to do this legally? It's your balcony. You're the landlord. It's your right to want to keep grass. And they put a fine on it. I'm like, did you know about this? That they put fines? They're like, they're not supposed to collect any money from you. It's not their right.
Wait, so building management community management can't impose a fine on you?
They can impose a fine on you. First of all, they should have had me sign any kind of document, which they didn't, most likely. Second of all, the fine...
That's a lawyer, guys.
Second of all, if I did sign it... I can't remember, man. It was like 3-4 years ago. If I did sign it... Look, if it's a high-stakes kind of contract, I'll remember if I signed it. But if it's over 1,000 dirhams up and down, it's fine. But if I did sign it, and they are fining me for something that they're not supposed to be fining me for, like if I put grass on it's my balcony, I can put whatever I want on it.
Mm-hmm.
If I want, I can cover it with all of my clothes, because I don't like touching the empty balcony. It's my wish. It's my right. You can't fine me for that. Oh, we're going to come in for inspection. He said, the guy from DLD was like, they said they're going to come into your building and you have to allow them to come in. That is completely illegal. And I knew the answer, but I wanted to hear it from the DLD guy.
Yeah.
So then I wrote an email, very nice, calm. You ever step foot into my apartment, I'm filing a case against your management company. I'm filing a case against the entire building and developer and everyone. I went crazy. I was like writing them an email. I found out something. If they receive a couple of strikes, I think the answer is 3 strikes or 3 complaints or some amount of complaints that are like big complaints, and it gets registered and it actually becomes like a strike for them. They are forced to change the management company. The developer is forced to change the management company. So knowing this, leverage, right?
Okay. Everything's about leverage. What's the most expensive mistake you've seen a property investor make?
Ooh, multiple. So again, it depends on what you mean by expensive. So for someone, 10,000 dirham mistake is expensive. For someone, I've seen people lose millions. So for example, one guy, it's not a mistake, it's not from his fault, but like it's a story, it's an anecdote. He bought a property. I'm not going to say which developer. Turns out that the property size that they actually gave him, and he brought like an expert and everything. And when we got to court, we got the expert and everything. Came that he paid for a certain amount of square feet or square meters, and he actually got like 20 to 30% less usable.
20%.
20 to 30% less. So obviously he got compensated for that. He had to pay. The developer had to pay him back the money. We made the case and everything, and he won. It was an easy case.
Yeah.
Another
and
one.
he also got the legal fees paid by the developer.
Whatever he paid for court, yeah.
Yeah.
And some legal interest fees and compensation, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't actually using that space for a couple of years. Yeah. Another one was they signed an SPA, didn't verify who the actual developer is, started paying some random guy's personal account with the entire payment plan.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
They signed an SPA.
They signed an SPA. And by the way, this is not a small brand. Like, it's a branded residence. It's a huge, multi-global, international brand.
Okay.
But apparently there was a private party involved in this deal.
Which was supposed to do the construction.
Which was...
The developer.
Exactly. It was under the name as like the developer for this huge branded residence. They started transferring the money to the guy's account directly, not any escrow account or anything like that.
You mean a corporate account or?
Personal account.
Personal, individual account.
My name is account.
Okay.
And now it's in court.
Okay.
Now it's currently in court, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But this is these are mistakes. Like, these are big mistakes, man. 600K floating right now. We don't know what's... Property is ready. They didn't finish the payment plan, by the way, because they found out too late. They already paid the guy 600K. And they're like, wait a minute. They talked to a lawyer. I'm like, wait a minute. What are you guys doing? This is not real. First of all, I told them I would have never let you make this deal because of this, and that deal. Like, I did calculations for them. They're like, oh my God, how did we not see this? Then I was like, this thing that you're doing, you're not supposed to be doing it legally. It's not his right to have the money in his personal account.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to make a case. And when the red alarm went off for them is that when they started messaging the guy or his team, hey, by the way, can you give us the completion documents for? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. 1 month delay, 3 months delay. Property, by the way, that same property that they paid for, because we were gonna make the case, and I saw the summary of the unit itself. It's been rented out. The guy's been collecting rent on that property and has their money in his pocket. Jeez. It's a huge mistake. And even when they win, the compensation, like the amount that they've lost time, flight tickets, hotels, POA fees, government fees, court fees, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They flew in here two times. They paid some other lawyer to do research. He didn't do anything for them. Oh my God, the amount of money they've lost.
Why don't I meet such buyers? No, but I think that's a universal scammy sort of problem. That's less to do with Dubai, I think. But would you say, as for an investor, Dubai on a whole is safe.
Yeah.
But then there's scams going on everywhere in the world, and the naive and the sort of easy praise that people try to target trusting people.
I think there's two sides. I think on one end, because Dubai is successful and it has the financial image that it has,
safety,
globally, financial image. Like, people come here to make money, money comes here. It's two ways, right? People come here to make money and big money comes here.
Yeah.
All right, now you have that. Then you have the safety part. Dubai is safe. It's absolutely safe. For me, it's the safest city. UAE safest country in the world, for me personally. You have other, anomalies as well, like some Gulf countries. Then you have some European countries/cities like, Luxembourg and stuff like that. They're also safe. However,
that sort of attracts
two sides.
Yeah.
It attracts two sides. Like,
predatory scamsters.
Scammers, Scammers are like, oh, money's there. I'm going to go there and try to make money from, scamming people that have money.
Who trust the city and
who
the
trust
image.
the safety, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the naive people who think that, like, okay, it's safe. It's a financial hub. Nothing's going to happen. And it's true for more. But then it's that wrong Tinder match that between the scammer and the naive that happens that makes this phenomenon happen.
Yeah.
But then doesn't mean that it's like left out in the dark or left, they're left to deal between themselves.
Yeah.
You have the law protecting you. It's just a question of like, again, meeting the right lawyer or meeting getting the right advice on how to deal with your legal problems. That's why you meet these like extremities, like anomalies.
Yeah.
That like they got scammed and they met a lawyer that also caused more problems. Well, it's just like.
Okay. So I think the key takeaways from our conversation today was, first of all, when you're buying a property, try to get the contracts checked by someone like yourself.
Absolutely.
And obviously, Amin's number is everywhere on this video. So get the documents checked, just so you understand what you're buying. Secondly, once it's ready, and anytime someone wants money, someone wants to impose a fine, or there's something you did not expect is happening, just get a lawyer's advice as well. And get a will made immediately if you're buying a property.
Always. As soon as the title deed is in your name, like you're leaving the trustee office, your next stop should be to meet a legal professional to do your work for you.
All right. Thank you for coming. And just for people who are interested in understanding life in Dubai, the legal understanding of living in Dubai, there's another podcast we're doing now, which you'll find somewhere on the video. All right. Thank you for your time, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.